The air in the small police station was heavy that night, thick with stale coffee and old paper. In interview room 2B, a teenage girl named Alyssa sat alone, her hands trembling, eyes wide with fear. She was about to speak words that would change her life forever. The room was built for adults. Hard chairs, cold metal table, detectives speaking in low, serious tones. Alyssa was a child lost in a world of harsh realities, trying to make sense of a tragedy no one could comprehend. The questions came relentlessly, each one pushing her further from the truth. The confession didn't come in a burst. It was pieced together over hours, a mosaic of exhaustion and confusion. Alyssa wanted the questions to stop. She wanted to go home. So she started to agree, filling in the blanks the detectives provided. The story that emerged was fragmented and contradictory, but it was what the detectives wanted to hear. Under the harsh glare of the lights, a line was crossed, a child's vulnerability mistaken for an adult's cunning. Alyssa, terrified and confused, was treated as a hardened criminal. Her words were recorded and presented as undeniable fact, becoming the foundation of a prosecution that would shock the nation. No one in that room could have foreseen the impact of that night. That single, flawed confession would become a catalyst for change, forcing the legal system to confront the injustice of treating children like adults. The door to room 2B closed, and with it, the door to Alyssa's childhood. The system had what it needed, a confession, no matter how unreliable. Alyssa's fate was sealed not by truth, but by fear and misunderstanding. The echoes of her words would haunt the halls of justice for decades. In that small windowless room, justice lost its way. Alyssa's story was just beginning, but her innocence had already been lost. The world outside would never see her the same way again. Before that night, Alyssa's life was ordinary. School, friends, babysitting for neighbors. She was known as reliable, gentle, and patient with children. Babysitting was routine, a way to earn money and feel independent. The night began like any other. A quiet house, a sleeping baby, Alyssa studying on the couch. There was no warning of the tragedy about to unfold. Suddenly everything changed. The parents returned to find their infant unresponsive. Panic filled the house, sirens pierced the quiet streets. Alyssa stood frozen, unable to comprehend the nightmare. The world she knew vanished, replaced by fear and confusion. Doctors were baffled, the family devastated. Alyssa, the only other person in the house, became the focus of suspicion. The trust she'd earned was replaced by doubt. Her quiet demeanor was now seen as suspicious. In the desperate search for answers, all eyes turned to her. The ordinary girl from down the street was suddenly the primary suspect. The tragedy was inexplicable, but someone had to be blamed. Alyssa's life was upended in a single, irreversible moment. The community's grief demanded a target. The investigation began, and Alyssa's nightmare deepened. The stage was set for a case that would change everything. The police station was intimidating, especially for a traumatized teenager. Alyssa was brought in as a suspect, not a grieving witness. She faced two experienced detectives alone. No parent, no lawyer. The room was designed to maximize pressure. The detectives used adult interrogation techniques, built on psychological pressure and leading questions. They presented themselves as her only way out, minimizing the consequences of confession. Alyssa, desperate to please and exhausted, began to change her story. The detectives suggested scenarios. Did she shake the baby? Did she drop him? Alyssa started to repeat their details, her own memory fading. Her confession became a jumble of contradictions, reflecting what she thought they wanted to hear. Finally, she broke, giving them the confession they sought. The detectives closed their case, satisfied. For Alyssa, it was the moment her life fractured. She had been led down a path of false admissions, with no way back. The door to room 2B closed, and so did her childhood. Alyssa's interrogation was a masterclass in psychological manipulation. Detectives used the Reed technique, isolating her, creating intense pressure. They began with sympathy, pretending to be on her side, then shifted to introducing false evidence. Alyssa, with no legal counsel, couldn't distinguish truth from bluff. Her memory, clouded by trauma, became unreliable. The detectives alternated between good cop and bad cop, overwhelming her. Alyssa was offered a false choice: confess to an accident or be labeled a monster. Exhausted and terrified, she confessed, repeating details fed to her. The confession was full of contradictions, but it became the key evidence. It was not truth. It was the product of fear and coercion. With Alyssa's confession, the justice system moved swiftly. Despite being a minor, she was charged as an adult. The protections of the juvenile system were stripped away. Alyssa faced a bewildering trial, the proceedings foreign and overwhelming. The prosecution relied almost entirely on her confession, glossing over its contradictions and the coercive tactics used. The jury saw a signed confession, not a scared child. Her defense argued coercion, but the science of false confessions was not widely accepted. The verdict: guilty. The sentence: a long term in adult prison. Alyssa was sent to a world for which she was unprepared. The system meant to deliver justice delivered tragedy. A vulnerable child was condemned by words spoken in desperation. The courtroom doors closed, and Alyssa faced a brutal new reality. Her youth was erased by a system blind to her vulnerability. After Alyssa's conviction, doubt began to grow. Experts in psychology and law scrutinized the case, highlighting the dangers of adult interrogation techniques on children. The absence of a parent or lawyer was a glaring red flag. Investigative journalists uncovered inconsistencies and signs of a coerced confession. Forensic linguists found Alyssa had parroted detectives' language, with no unique details. Medical experts questioned the original diagnosis, suggesting alternative explanations for the infant's death. The confession, once the prosecution's strength, became its greatest weakness. Documentaries and articles brought Alyssa's story to the public. The case became a symbol of systemic failure. A chorus of doubt from multiple fields suggested the system had failed a child, and perhaps convicted an innocent. The push for justice was just beginning. The controversy around Alyssa's case reached lawmakers and advocates. Advocacy groups lobbied for reform, using her story as a rallying cry. States began passing laws to protect minors during interrogations, requiring lawyers or parents to be present, and mandating electronic recording. The reforms directly addressed the failures in Alyssa's case. Lawmakers also questioned the practice of trying children as adults, limiting transfers to adult court, and focusing on rehabilitation. The system began to shift away from punitive models toward recognizing children's unique status. Alyssa's case became a constant reminder of what could go wrong. The movement for change grew, inspired by her story. The legal landscape for juveniles began to evolve. The fight was long, but Alyssa's case was a turning point. Her tragedy sparked a powerful movement for justice. Alyssa's legacy is written in new laws across the nation. Mandatory recording of interrogations protects both suspects and police, reducing coercion and clarifying confessions. Laws requiring a parent or lawyer provide crucial support for children facing questioning. These protections address the power imbalance Alyssa faced alone. Changes to transfer laws keep more youth in the juvenile system, focusing on rehabilitation. The system now recognizes children's greater capacity for change. The reforms mark a profound evolution in justice for juveniles. The legal landscape is more just than in Alyssa's time. Her case set a new baseline for protecting vulnerable youth. The pursuit of justice now includes a duty to protect the young. Alyssa's story shows how one injustice can spark lasting change. The reforms in her name have protected countless young people. But progress came at a personal cost. Alyssa lost her childhood and years of her life. Legal reforms could not undo her trauma or restore what was taken. Her suffering became the foundation for a better system. Justice for the future was bought with injustice in the past. Her story is a reminder that legal principles are built on real lives. Alyssa's name may be unknown, but her impact is immeasurable. Her case demands vigilance and compassion in the pursuit of justice. The confession in room 2B changed the world, but first, it destroyed one.